Hello and welcome to Does God Exist, the podcast. This is season two of the podcast Does God Exist, and we have slightly changed the questions a little bit. We've taken the feedback from the people who've watched who said they'd like this question, they didn't like that question. So we've made some slight changes. Just before we start off, thanks to everybody who's liked, shared, comment, all that. It's a massive help. If you haven't liked, shared, commented, or subscribed, if you did do it, it'd be really appreciated. We need the support to keep going. Today we have the wonderful Mr. David Anthony. David, how are we doing?
I'm all right, mate. I've got a slight cold. Am I first guest of season two?
Season two. Well, you could be.
Could be.
You could be.
Probably best not to be.
You could be.
Through the list of who I've been on this show, I am considerably the least successful person.
Don't be selling yourself short.
And I knew that was going to be the case, which is why I checked with you before who was on there.
Well, what I've been doing is
What
I've been doing is I've been pre-recording them and I've been trying to release them. Believer, non-believer, believer, non-believer.
Oh.
Yeah.
Might not be.
So you could be. It depends on your answers, David. It depends on your answers. So I kind of chopping it up and changing a bit. It's been the first season was very interesting for me because it was. This is a very bizarre thing that I think I had heard someone say before, but I'd never really registered myself. Is that the non-believers, and I consider myself a non-believer, I consider myself atheist, but the non-believers are kind of more pragmatic than the believer, or dogmatic than the believers, because all the non-believers believe exactly the same thing, whereas the believers all believe none of them actually believe the same thing.
It makes sense. The non-believers is kind of, usually, in the modern context of that, is the basis in science.
Yeah.
Which is a set of rules that correspond to each other, that could be proved to sort of work in conjunction with each other. So that makes sense. Whereas the believers, at a certain point, you are coming to terms with it on your own.
Yeah.
So, you're going to end up with a completely individual version of that.
Yeah, but also, like, the atheists believe some things that there isn't evidence for.
That's interesting.
So I'll give you one thing, and then you start to realize that an awful lot of the atheism is Richard Dawkins and Christopher Hitchens.
Yeah.
Like a lot of, like, so I give you one example, like the idea that nobody does anything that's really altruistic.
Okay.
Now, there's no evidence to say that is you couldn't that's a leap of faith.
I think I remember that argument from my Richard Dawkins and Christopher Hitchens phrase.
Right.
I think wasn't it that it's even people that are religious, when they're doing altruistic things, they think it's purely just out of the goodness of their heart, but it is for the reward of heaven. Yeah,
which is I think some people do things that they don't benefit from.
Yeah,
I just think that now Richard Dawkins, of course, he's in the Epstein files, isn't he? I think he's been mentioned in the Epstein files. So suddenly, I haven't seen him mentioned. Now, I haven't with Dawkins. I don't think there's anything bad, but like Epstein obviously courted academics.
Yeah.
So I think he's mentioned in them, but he may not have met him or anything like that. But it does. The Epstein files does look a lot like these lads were telling us that people who believe in religion do bad things because of their belief in religion. That we'd all be better off without religion. And I think the Epstein files is largely non-religious people.
The altruism thing, I think, is a pointless argument to make.
Go on.
Because I don't think it matters, and I think it's a really just like, for want of a better term, uncharitable way to view behaviour. Because who fucking cares? Like, if you're like, oh, but you're only doing good things because you get something out of it. Like, so?
Yeah.
It's being done.
It's still a good being done, yeah.
What's the opposing, position to that? Like, oh, well, then I won't do anything good because I will benefit from it, and therefore there's no point doing anything good. So it's like, what are you even saying there?
Yeah, and like, if everybody took that view of, I'm not going to do anything good, then it's a much worse world than if everyone was like, well, I'm going to do good because it makes me feel good. You know,
So fucking cares?
it was kind of.
When I read that, and I can't remember if it was Dawkins or Hitchens that said it. They probably both said
Said
it.
it.
At some
I think
point.
they both
But
said
I
it.
remember thinking that at the time, and just being like, "But why does that matter?"
Yeah, so it's interesting because when you start talking when I was talking to people who are saying they were atheist, non-believer, and they're essentially saying back to me the things that I believe, I was just thinking, oh God, that sounds horrific.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean? Like it's just the believers were more interesting,
Okay.
and
Does that make you feel self-conscious about your own non-belief?
well, it's made me kind of. Maybe I need to give it a second.
Is that the
and
aim of this podcast
it
in
wasn't.
the long term?
It wasn't.
Okay.
It wasn't. But it's.
I think it'd be weird if it didn't.
It's kind of like, do you know when like certain people voted Brexit who
Do I?
do you know when like certain people voted and you're like they were wrong, like but some of them voted for the right reasons, you know what I mean? Like they were sort of anti corporations, like so the people who voted because they were anti corporations, but they weren't anti-immigration. Like I know we kind of branded everyone who voted it racist, but there were kind of people who, when you talk to them, they actually didn't mind immigration, but it was multinationalism and corporationism and globalization. They were the things that they were against.
Yeah.
And you were like, voting Brexit wasn't going to get rid of that stuff, but you were kind of like, you're wrong, but I like your sentiment.
Right. Okay. At
Yeah.
least the intention.
And the intention, yeah.
The worst.
Yeah.
So that's what you're feeling about.
Believers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. No, because I get that. I think that's a fair. I think that's a fair thing to consider.
say.
It's like yeah. If you are a believer, if you're ascribing that belief to a particular religion,
Yeah.
then you are somewhat co-signing the behavior of that religion.
Yeah, it's tricky now because a lot of people they didn't believe in a religion, but they believed in a God.
Yeah.
So they weren't interested in a religion. So they weren't. So I think a lot of people.
But it's also because you've interviewed a lot of comedians.
I've interviewed a lot of comedians, but yeah.
They're, I think just sort of personality type wise, less likely to want to be in a religion.
Yeah, but I also think that could nearly be the dominant position in the country.
Maybe.
Like people don't want to be affiliated with a religion, but they haven't. But they still believe in some kind of higher power or some kind of.
So I don't know.
Some sign of spirituality
I
or.
would imagine this would come up at some point in this conversation anyway, but this is sort of just pops into my head now. So I was working for the church. So you had Vlad on.
Yeah.
Me and Vlad were both working for the church in the same office at the same time. I got him that job.
This is unbelievable.
We're neighbours. He lives in the building opposite mine.
Oh, I didn't know this.
Yeah.
No, he's moved.
Wait, has he?
Yeah.
I haven't spoken to him.
Yeah, he's moved. Yeah, because he lives near me now.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. I haven't seen him in a while.
So you were working in the church,
Yeah, so he lived in the building opposite mine,
right?
and so I would like see him at the co-op, and he was saying, "Oh, I've been looking for a job." I was working for the church, and then I got him in to fill in for me initially. They liked him and kept him on, and he's now working there permanently. And he grew up with religion, as I'm sure has been mentioned on the pod.
Yeah,
I didn't grow up really with anything.
none.
Like-
Parents go to mass,
Okay, so no. So I mean, first of all, Protestant,
right?
I assume.
Yeah.
I remember once Peter Flanagan. Has Peter been on?
No,
I'm sure he will.
he said he would. Yeah.
I remember Peter Flanagan on stage talking about Protestants and Catholics, and he got off stage, and I said to him, "You know what? I'm not 100% sure on which one I am."
Yeah.
That's very common in this country.
Not to know.
Just sort of to have lost it somewhere down the line,
Yeah,
and you can't even remember.
you're from Lewis. Yeah.
Well, my family is.
Oh, your family's not from Lewis.
No, not
No.
at all. So, but then he said, if you can't remember, you're probably Protestant.
Protestant. Okay.
Yes, it is. And then I actually did talk to my aunt about it when I was seeing her over October, and yeah, I mean we're Anglican, just kind of.
It's kind of Protestant, but there's kind of a lot of chapters to Protestantism, like
No, we're Anglican.
Anglican. Yeah. So there's a lot
This
of.
is a very non-committal one.
Yeah.
And I was asking her about, like my mum's side of the family. There's not really any religion.
So would like Christmas Day, would you go to mass?
No.
So no.
We went once. We went to midnight mass once when my granddad was still alive. My dad's dad was still alive. He was visiting us, and so we took him to mass. And I remember afterwards, I was quite young, and as we were leaving, he went, "Well, that was nice, Mike, but why did we go?" And my dad went, "Well, I thought you wanted to go." He went, "I never go. I thought you wanted to go." And when I talked to my aunt about it, because it popped into my head, and I was like, "Oh, which one are we?" And she was like, "Yeah, we're Anglican."
Anglican.
That's kind of what I figured. And I remember like my dad had talked about going to Sunday school as a kid, which I think was just pretty standard that everyone did. And so I was like, "Oh, you went to Sunday school?" And she was like, "Yeah, but like my dad didn't, like my granddad didn't really care about that. He gave us the money to pay for Sunday school, and when we said which one, he was like, whichever one."
Whichever one you want to go.
So I don't think they cared.
And did you go to Sunday school?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, kinda. I went to like a nursery Sunday school very briefly. I remember it, but when I'd asked my mum about that many years later, and she had confirmed what I sort of figured out for myself later on, which was that it was free childcare.
Right.
Like that was really the extent of it. And I think maybe that was part of it with my granddad as well, where he's like, he didn't care which denomination. It was like, you've just got to go because that's what you do.
What is Sunday school? Because they don't. I don't think
Well,
that.
I don't think it was really Sunday school. It was just like a nursery crash type situation.
Right.
It was at a church, and I remember which church it was in Lewis, and we would go there, and I remember hearing Bible stories. But then you would get Bible stories at school, so I didn't think that was particularly unusual. And certainly we weren't doing that so much where it really got drilled that far in. But I'd say we're not religious at all. But as is the case with pretty much every country, I would imagine, there's always elements of it. And like, certainly I was in Cubs and Scouts, and that's quite a Christian organisation.
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there's religion and everything. Like our main holidays, Christmas, Easter. You know, they're not. Yeah. They come from the religion.
We don't really celebrate Easter anymore. Easter was very much just a chocolate eggs thing, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
Christmas we celebrate because you get the day off anyway, and it's a tradition.
Yeah.
You go around parents and you know do all the normal stuff. But for our family, at least, there's no element
of religion there,
which I think is really common.
And so then for the UK, it probably is for the UK.
Like if anything, and it's different now because now there's started to be young kids in the family, so it obviously is back to being just like Christmassy Christmas. But there was a while where I would start to think like Christmas for us is like a celebration of TV.
Yeah.
That was all we would do. It was just sit and just we might play a board game to break it up. But it's just most of it is just watching TV.
And do you think the entertainment is the religion now of
I don't know
the UK?
But it's just,
What's the religion of the UK now? What has replaced religion?
I don't think anything has. I think it's just. I think. So maybe this is a big sort of point to make earlier on in the show, but why not get into it? I do think that that the people in the UK, and it's probably mostly white English people that I've seen this in, do feel like they're missing something.
Yeah.
It's because there's no religion, and there's none of that sort of structure that goes with it. And particularly when I see sort of people of my own sort of class background, which is sort of lower middle class, sort of pretty standard thing, is a lot of them are kind of just low level unhappy, and they can't work out why.
You see, I would kind of, because coming from Ireland, like Ireland, certainly when I was growing up, and it's maybe still a bit has a more religious community vibe than the UK. But for me, from Ireland, looking in at the UK, what it looks like to me is you've replaced it with essentially entertainment and the lottery of celebrity.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so how do you get through your mundane life and the misery of it? There's always a chance you could be on Big Brother and become a star, or you could be or your kid could be a football player, or Love Island, or the X Factor, and that has filled in what religion had in the past. Yeah. You know, it's the promise of a incredible future to get you through the difficult present.
Yeah, isn't that sad? It's interesting that like, and again, this is when I'm thinking of these things, I'm thinking of mostly people that are in like my cultural bracket. That if you go to them like and ask them about religion, they just will feel so uncomfortable about the idea of it. And most of them will just sort of completely dissuade any sort of benefit or necessity of it.
Right.
And what was really interesting about going to work at the church, not having really any experience of the church, was sort of one, seeing how everyone there was a million years old and it's dying,
Right.
and like they know it is, but the wealth of it is still completely intact. That's what's really bizarre. It's like a Tom team. They're just like all died off, and then the person at the top's going to get left with like so much property because they just own so many properties.
The church.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I've heard they've had difficulty because they have. I know this has happened in Ireland. So they have.
Well, they don't have anyone going.
So they've retarees, right?
Yeah.
And they've had to sell property to pay their pensions, but they still own loads of property,
And they still
loads of
buy
property.
more. And one of the people I was working with there has a house in France that they spend time in, and they're obviously most of these people working there were active Christians. Like me and Vlad were one of the sort of few people there that weren't. And she was saying that in France, it's almost like you're seeing it ahead of time for what it's going to be here, where there's really no one going.
In France.
It's pretty much dead.
Right.
And it's kind of sad, like you're just seeing it wither away.
Mm.
I felt very, very welcomed by them, but also sort of there were aspects to it that still felt very uncomfortable.
But they would definitely look at it. If you had massive economic crash, World War III, religion would come. Those churches would be full again.
Do you think?
Oh yeah.
Do you think it'll be Christianity?
It'll be well. Someone will fill the. There's always potential for.
Because really, when we're talking about it, we're talking about like, is the UK religious and these sort of dwindling numbers, but we're only talking about Christianity.
Yeah, the other
Those
religions.
seem to be thriving.
Yeah, but I do think a couple of hard years, and it can come back. But so I'll ask you this: do you believe in God?
I was thinking about this morning, trying to work it out, and I still don't know. And I go in and out of it all
Yeah.
the time. There's certain points where if you'd ask me on certain days, I'd be so comfortable being like, yeah, 100%.
Right.
And then today I'm not. I don't feel fully comfortable saying it.
Right.
And certainly growing up, it was never, outside of the small instances that I mentioned and some little sort of bits and pieces you get by osmosis and the wider culture, it was never drilled into my head. I never asked my parents if they believe in God. I've often thought about it, and then it's obviously just sort of I've never remembered to do it.
To do it, yeah.
Which I think shows you sort of how little of a consideration it is within my family and the culture I grew up in. That it's just not really something that's discussed. And not even anyone really cares. So I don't know. I feel yes more than I feel no.
Right.
But I certainly don't have any of that ascribed to any particular religion. But if I'm pushed, it would probably be Christianity, just because that's the one that
You're aware of. Yeah. Yeah. And what do you think happens when you die?
Fuck. I would hope something.
Yeah.
And I think probably nothing.
Right. But what you've just said there, I think, is the genesis of all religion and all belief in God. It's just the hope that there is something.
And this is where the belief thing comes in, because I think deep down, most people that believe sort of feel probably nothing.
Right.
Like, I think they probably feel there's nothing. But I think you allow yourself to believe.
Well, it's not. So Jack Skipper said an interesting thing. Like he said, it's called faith because there can't be evidence for it. You have to,
exactly.
And that's why it's called faith.
You have to just
you have to take that jump. And we've lived in, I suppose, like Silicon Valley and technological titans are so influential now that they've really drilled into us. Science.
But I think that's why I've been much more comfortable in the last sort of 4 or 5 years with like being comfortable with saying that I have some feeling of the divine,
Yeah.
because it seemed I sort of started to notice what you just said, that a lot of the people that are drilling like no God,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
just atheism, just science, just reason based stuff. You're like, right, you don't seem to have my best interest at heart.
Yeah, look at a very clear thing that Richard Dawkins was saying was he was basically saying that the world would be better off without religion. If we got rid of religion and we got rid of all this superstition and all these beliefs, we'd be better off. And now you look at the early promise of the internet and the technology has let us down.
Yeah.
Like it hasn't made our lives better. China is a godless society. Is there less violence in China? Is you know what I mean? Like, do people treat each other better in China?
I think it's almost like the sort of communism argument thing of like, oh well, it would work if it was done properly.
If it did work, if it was done properly, yeah. But communism, like,
There's probably a reason why a lot of, and I think maybe this is more male. I don't know. This feels very male to get into
Go on.
Hawkins and Hitchens.
Yeah.
It just does. But like, I think there's a reason why you get into them as a teenager, because like idealistic things make sense when you're a teenager, because you don't understand, like you haven't seen enough things yet to realize like how people really work. And when you hear that again as an adult, the idea of, oh, if you get rid of religion, all the problems would be solved, you just think, oh shit. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, there's no way that's like, no, that's the big problem, isn't it? Yeah, that's the big problem. Because yeah, currently I live in like outside, like certainly within like a Christian aspect, a largely secular society, and the problems seem completely evident there. I don't think that's the issue.
yeah.
It's sweet that you think it is, but I don't think it is.
Yeah, I think it's very appealing to a teenager because a teenager, your ego and your smugness
Yeah.
and know it all. It's
yeah.
simple
Especially
solutions.
when they're like this authority figure, and especially when, if like me and a lot of other people in the UK, it's quite a benign authority figure. It's very easy in the UK to be against Christianity, or to
Yeah.
be against like the idea of religion, because like it's not common for you. It's not like in like okay, Bible Belt America, where that's like a big statement still. To be like,
yeah.
I don't need God. Like religion is made up nonsense. That's a big statement. You can yell that what you want here. No one cares.
No one cares. Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah, I guess the ideal is where you have a balance of power.
Yeah.
So like, if you give too much power to say the technology guys and the science guys, like it's a disaster.
Yeah.
You need like maybe government, business, religion. You need them all to kind of
I think so.
have a bit of balance
sort
of power.
Serve their thing. I remember talking to a clergy person. I forget what rank he was. Right? At the church, and he was saying about during COVID, when suddenly the church had this new lease of relevancy, especially to the authorities, because they needed community organisation, and they needed it quickly, and that just doesn't really exist in the same way in a secular society. Because that's the other thing you've got to think about it. It's like okay, you get rid of it, but it does serve a function that's not quite as obvious, which is that social network,
Bringing people together, yeah.
And you do need that, because if you don't have that, like the world is very sad and lonely and just a bit desperate. And if you're not going to have it through religion, then it's going to be through bureaucracy. It's going to be through a council, and that's, do you want that? Is that what you want? You want like local government?
Well, it's a say it is very interesting because you can clearly see what a society without religion is. It's China.
Yeah, I don't know. Do they fully? They still have religion on an individual.
Well, but we have Blank on here. She said that they're basically told in school that it's stories that are made up to make you feel comfortable,
Yeah,
but not to believe any of it, and that it's all nonsense. That's the official. That's the official line.
What I've just said then.
Yeah.
And okay, fine. No judgment on China. China is a great country. I've always said this.
yeah. This is true. This is
I
true.
always say my support for the Chinese government. But that's kind of that's the alternative, right? Is that they control the social structure.
Yeah.
So is that what people want?
And they had a very, very harsh time during COVID with lockdowns and
Yeah.
everything. So we go back to that. So you hope so. What would be your dream scenario? You die. What would be the dream scenario of tapping?
Like classic heaven.
Okay, go on.
The classic. The
Just
pearly gates. The everyone that you want. Which actually, I've always wondered that the everyone being there is like right, but I don't necessarily want to see everyone.
yeah,
That's an obvious first thought.
right.
And then do they necessarily want to spend all their time with me? Like, are we actually still, or is it like this is like a sort of clone version for my personal version of heaven?
Yeah, well, I've always seen it as a
Can
more.
you imagine that if you go to heaven and then you're like, I wanna hang out with my nan, and she's like, well, I got things I want to do. I don't want to hang out with
Yeah,
you.
like, I always saw it as more. I don't know what the right word is. Ethereal.
Ethereal.
Ethereal. So like that, you don't have a physical form. Like there's not gravity. You're just. So it's almost a feeling. So it's almost like when you're, when you've in times in life when you've felt elevated and you've just felt like you're floating. So you have just that vibe all
Yeah.
the time. So you're not you're not going shopping in the rain.
Ideally, like in heaven, I'm turning up. I'm dressed like Gladiator. That's like the sort of the time period I imagine heaven looking like.
Yeah, it's Roman.
Yeah.
The Roman.
Not like fully, but it's that like big sort of arches and pillars and stuff.
The Romans did it. The Romans.
That's
The Romans
very
built
something
it.
I do.
And are you afraid of death?
Yeah.
Are you?
Yeah. I don't think like day to day.
Yeah.
I'm not really at an age where I'm necessarily thinking about it like as I got to prepare for this soon.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you've ever had like a near brush with death.
Have you had an airbrush with
I
death?
cycle in London. It happens every month.
Yeah, go on.
I nearly get run over all the time, and you do just have. There's a few times actually. There's one that literally happens. So we're by Farringdon, right? And just coming on that road, just
Yeah.
that junction there, like really late at night, a couple of years ago, and they were doing roadworks there, and I remember like this car just big car just bombing it down, and I'm on the bike, and I had to like jump off onto the side, where it would have just completely just steamrolled it over.
Really?
And you had this like weird feeling for like about 20 minutes afterwards of, oh, I actually died in that, and I'm still just imagining like I'm gonna snap into my body and then it's done. Yeah, I fear it. I think it would be. Has anyone who said they've not feared death?
No, that's one of the new questions for the new
I wanna know
season.
who's fucking lying to you.
That's one of the new questions for the new season. Like, do you have a fair day? The cycling thing is interesting. I used to do a lot of cycling around London, and this is an observation I made. I don't know if you've ever seen this. In the space of one day, I was cycling. It was unbelievable, right? And I saw a guy, and he was cycling, and these people got out of a black cab, pulled over, and these people got out of a black cab, and he nearly went into the doorway at a cab,
Yeah.
and he didn't get hit, but he absolutely lost it.
Yeah.
Like he fucked them out of it. He nearly took off his helmet and threw them. He went absolutely ballistic. And then about an hour later, I saw someone absolutely get cleaned by a car, like knocked off the bike, and they got up and apologized to the car driver. Like it's almost like if you nearly get hit, it makes you far more angry.
Yeah.
But if you do get hit, you're actually just relieved you're not dead.
100%. That door opening thing is fucking terrifying because that's
Yeah.
happened a few times.
Oh, you gotta preempt it. You gotta just
It's just like sometimes people you just can't even imagine how much that fucking hurt.
Did-
So just by here,
yeah.
the same guy has nearly hit me twice.
Same guy.
Same guy, and I know it's the same guy. And I was talking about this with someone the other night, right? There's something really. This is one of the obviously you don't want to get hit. Obviously.
Yeah.
When you nearly get hit, or when you get like slightly bumped, you get to justifiably yell at someone in public,
Which is
That
good.
So much fun.
Which is good. Yeah.
Like, this guy twice. Is it right? I'll say this up front. I'm not actually going to fight him, but I want him. It's like a little dry run of me pretending like I'm gonna. It's like I get to threaten someone justifiably.
Yeah.
So I've like banged on the fucking guy. Get the fuck out right now. Like,
Really?
Yeah, because like fuck him, man.
Yeah.
He could have killed me.
Yeah.
It's the same guy twice. Next time I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I know it's him. And
That's
I know
mad.
also because he's reacted the same way each time, where he's made it seem like my fault, and then I'll be like, oh, it's my fucking fault, is it?
And have you seen people get hit? I've seen it. I think I've seen it 3 times.
I don't know if I've seen someone get. I've seen the aftermath.
And every time I've seen it, the bit that's so mad about it is you can see it's going to happen before it happens,
Yeah.
and there's nothing you can do. Like,
Yeah.
so there was, and each time I've seen it has been at crossroads.
Mm.
So there was one in Clapham where the bike was going this way, and a car. Now, luckily, the car was moving very slowly. The car then decides to the car should have kept going straight. It wasn't actually allowed to make this left turn, but it made the left turn. It wasn't supposed to, and you could just the minute it decided it was turning, you could just see, oh, this bike and car are going to collide. And
I nearly had one down at the roundabout of Waterloo Bridge. Just
oh, well, that's
this week.
that's
It's a
tough.
nightmare.
That's tough.
And I've so nearly got hit, and it's like you said, and it is exactly that. Even if you miss, you have that moment just before you get out of it. Where you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm gonna get hit now, and this was totally obvious. And like you have a few seconds to know that it's happening. It's so weird. It's
The worst one I ever had was I once went between 2 red buses.
yeah. Oh, that's so day. Oh,
Oh.
my god, just quick.
And I was halfway through them before I realized I was going through them, and I remember that just I was
The comedian
so
Will Davis,
terrified.
He's a great comic, and he does stats for TFL, and he
Oh, does he?
yeah. And I was leaving the other day from the spot he was at, and I was got my helmet with me, and he goes, "Oh, don't turn left on the left hand side of buses." And I was like, "What?" He went, "Yeah, that's how most people die."
Turn left on the left hand.
And I know that he is completely correct in that because he has the stats of how many people.
Don't turn left on the left hand side
So
of us.
if like the bus is there, you're there. If the bus is turning left, just wait, just pull.
Oh yeah.
That's always where they get because they can't see.
They can't say yeah. It's terrifying.
So that's I definitely fear it. I think I fear it a healthy amount. I don't think I obsess over it.
Yeah.
But certainly, yeah, it's scary, man. I mean, like, my dad nearly died like a couple of years ago, and it's weird when you just have to like confront it and then it doesn't happen.
Oh yeah.
It's always scary. It's scary. But that's what I'm bringing it up because it's scary when it happens to other people as well. Like,
Yeah.
I think I'd find it very strange if someone said they didn't. I wouldn't believe them.
Daniel Kitson, I saw him one time, and he did this joke where he was saying that the worst thing that can happen in your life is that your parents die. And in some ways, he's envious of people whose parents die when they're very
Worst
young.
things happen.
Because they get it out of the way.
It's like I remember the first time that I got made redundant.
Yeah.
Or like lost a job in general. In this case, it was made redundant, and it was what I kind of feared of like, oh, what if I lose my job, and then what do I do then? And then when it happens, you're like, oh,
That's not so bad.
it's fine. It's like when you get hit in the face for the first time. You're like, oh, I mean, it hurt, but it wasn't. I'm still here.
It didn't kill me.
Yeah.
Okay, so fair dying. You've had it. You're near deaths with the bike. What? So here's a question for you, right? Imagine you've died, you've gone to heaven, and you met God, and God said to you, you can have a second life.
Yeah.
You can be reincarnated,
Uh-huh.
but you have to come back as a different race. What race would you come back as?
Oh, damn. Woo. Okay. That's a fun question. Because there's races that it would. Like I think the obvious choice as a white guy would be like, I want to be black.
Right,
I want to be a black American.
a black American.
Just because, like culturally, they hold a lot of cachet.
Yeah,
But then maybe you want to go for a curveball.
Go on.
You want to go somewhere completely random. Like maybe, am I coming back with some of the knowledge that I've chosen?
well, I haven't really thought it. Like, I suppose the idea would be that you would. I think usually with reincarnation, you don't have knowledge of your previous
That's
life.
true.
Um,
Because there's like races it would be interesting to be, but it would be tough to be.
right.
So like my American side of the family has like a weird amount of connections. Not weird, an unusual amount of connections to Native American people.
Right.
Socially, and to some extent religiously, because my cousin is sort of very involved with the I would sort of be very interested to
Come back
be
as native.
raised in that, like living as that. But I also know, just as most people sort of have some idea, but also I know from talking to my cousins about the people that they know, how difficult it is
To be.
to be
What,
that.
is this the truth? Do you ever remember this quote? It was like a Native American chief, and he said something about how they used to go hunting, so they were well fed, and then they used to have sex every night, and then it took a white man to come along and say that you have a bad system and to change that system. Did you ever hear that?
Yeah,
Is it
I don't think
Chief Sitting Bull? It's kind of like a famous
that applies
quote.
to all of them.
Oh yeah. I know.
So my aunt is an academic of well, she was, she's retired now. She was an academic in anthropology and archaeology at Long Beach University, and her specialty was
Native Americans.
Yeah.
Okay.
So and she was always sort of, she would go out for digs on site, and it would be on native land, and so obviously they all know these people very well. But then the anthropological side of it as well. So she would be watching their ceremonies. She would be getting to know them, understanding how their like tribes work and how their social structure works and all these things. So she's known them for a long time, which means that her children, my first cousins, grew up knowing these people,
Yeah.
and then my cousins that are my age, my second cousins, have grown up knowing these people as well. My cousin Griffin, who is the same age as me, is very involved with their religion. And it's not,
So they have a religion
yeah, sort of. That's the best way for us
to understand a spirituality.
Really, a religion in the way that we would understand it. It's a belief system, I suppose, but even that's not really describing it properly. I was actually invited to do one of their ceremonies. I didn't do it. A few reasons why. One of them being that my younger brother was with me, and he's a little rambunctious, and I think we all decided, him included, that while he probably would be fine with it, that this is a very serious thing.
Right.
The concern was that he would maybe not be able
To be solemn.
It's not solemn. That's the thing. It's not solemnity. It's more like you. I think we were worried that he might start taking the piss.
Right.
Which is, and he was worried about that as well.
Yeah.
He's a lunatic that spent time in the army, and he just got out of the army when we made this trip as well. So he wasn't in like a spiritual frame of mind. What we were going to be doing was a peyote ceremony, which if you're aware of peyote,
Is it hallucinogenic?
Yeah, it's
That's the one in the doors. The doors of perception. Does he take that in that?
That's mescaline.
Oh, that's
which
mescaline.
I think is the active ingredient in peyote, if I remember correctly. So the native people have the right to use it for their sacrament, although I think they could just do it and no one would care anyway.
Right.
And they do these ceremonies in teepees, build the teepee the night before, they all sit in there, it is what people imagine from what I've had explained to me. You drink various bowls of this stuff, you trip, you bang drums, they sing songs, it's all in native language, you discuss things, it's like a very involved process, and the actual peyote itself is not like a particularly strong psychedelic. It's not as strong as something like ayahuasca, which my cousin Griffin has also spent a good sort of 2 years training in Peru to administer properly. So he's actually a trained shaman and is very practiced in ayahuasca. And he wants me to do that with him. I'm terrified of it. He's asked me before, and I'm like, when I'm ready, and he's talking about that. He's like, whenever you're ready, just let me know. I don't know. So it's not as strong as ayahuasca, but it is still a psychedelic, and it's obviously that becomes part of it. And then you do that all night, and then the next day you do the sweat lodge, which is, I don't know if they do that in the teepee or what, but it's a sauna essentially, but it's like a really, really hot one, and you go in there for like 6 hours, and just
sweat it out.
I felt a bit like intimidated by the aspect of the religion side of it. I felt like it was I didn't want to be a tourist in it. I spoke to one of my other cousins about it, and he was asking me why I wanted to do it, and then he said I shouldn't do it because I said, I just want to experience it, and he went, that's not what you should be doing.
Right. What would be the right answer there?
I suppose that maybe to say rather that you want to experience the medicine, that you want to actually appreciate the medicine spiritual.
I know a
awakening of
spiritual.
sorts.
What?
These things they do them semi-regularly. It depends
Yeah.
on the group. My cousin does them usually a couple of times a month, and it is a group prayer. That is essentially what it is. So they do it in aid of something. So the one that I was invited to was in aid of someone's cancer treatment. So the group
Oh.
prayer of the community
To
heal this
okay,
person's
okay.
cancer, which also made me think like, can I not come to like one for a 16th birthday or something?
Yeah,
Can I
yeah.
not come to a chill one. Like that feels quite intense. But I think they're all for that sort of thing, and that's why I mean it's not quite religion as we would see it. It's just the way that they live.
Well, it's probably where religion did come from, and it just became more
Yeah.
organized.
They call it within their own community. They discuss it as going back to the old ways,
Right.
which I think a term probably people have heard before, and that it's quite rare still within the native community to do that. And that's they were telling me about the life on the reservations and how difficult it is, and that when people come out of it, they usually go to the old ways. That's usually the way that they break themselves out of these difficulties. And sometimes people come in it for a bit, and their lives start to repair. They start healing themselves, and then it gets too much, and they go back because a lot of them have like huge drug problems,
Right.
a lot of meth,
Right.
and a lot of alcoholism, and a lot of really quite harsh violence. And so this thing that they do, and it's not just the purity ceremonies. There's various different ones of these. It is so healing to them, and it felt so pure the way that they were discussing it that I sort of felt like if I'm going to do this, I need to be doing it for the right reasons.
What would be your fear doing ayahuasca? What would be?
It's not fairness. It sounds very intense. There's a lot of prep that goes with it.
Yeah, you get.
This is more the point why, and I think this is part of the reason why I wasn't really as keen on the peyote as well, is that I haven't been interested in taking any psychedelics or any drugs for quite a while, for the most part because I've somewhat reached an acceptance of and love of myself without any need of anything. And with something like ayahuasca in particular, if you're not going with an intention, with something that you're seeking to understand about yourself, or even something you're seeking to heal, there's not really much point in doing it.
Yeah.
So if you don't feel that need, that draw to it,
then don't.
It's probably quite dangerous to do that.
Well, I've always had a kind of a latent. It's never really come up on my horizon to do, and I don't have anything that I'm burning to fix or something like that. And my kind of latent thought in it, which is kind of funny, is there's a part of me that thinks I go out and I do it. I'll see something and I'll be like, I'll just lose all interest in our world. I'll be just like.
By the way, that's a big worry.
I'd be just like, do you know what? It's all nonsense. I'm not going to work.
And I'll say, obviously, I love my cousin, but he's so in that world. He's so fucking in it.
Yeah.
And it's amazing when I talk to him about it. I'm so impressed by him. Like he's an incredible human being. But there's also an element of it of like you don't live in the normal world. You live in the really weird world. And like to a certain extent, I don't live in the normal world, but I do enough.
You've got a foot in the door. You've got a foot in there.
Foot in the door. I can't completely just lose my mind to it. There's this idea of one-shotting. It can apply to lots of different things. But because ayahuasca over the last sort of like 10 years or so, because of people like Rogan and other sort of mouthpieces for these sort of new, like neo-psychedelic, like psychedelics as a way of like optimizing yourself.
Right.
And so what's happening now, and it's been going on for a while, is that all of these like places out in Peru where you do ayahuasca are now full of these like tech people and corporate high up executives that are using it because they're like, oh, I've heard it's like you streamline yourself to it's like doing I've heard someone say this to me. They're like, it's like doing 1,000 sessions of therapy at once, and you're like, it's a deeply significant religious ceremony. This is not a therapy session. This is like a really intense religious experience.
Yeah.
And so it has like it's a thing online where these people that are like these high level executives like will go out and do ayahuasca, one shot themselves, completely lose their damn mind, quit their jobs, and they're just like, I can't ever go back.
Yeah, because you've seen.
Because you've seen something.
I do think we need some kind of mystery
Yeah.
in life. You know, there needs to be
I
some,
think so.
some kind of ceremonies that we go to, some kind of things that just don't make sense but bring us
So
together.
boring without it.
Without it, it's
And I found this a frustration with modern Britain in general, and it's not just the religion side of it, but I think it's just sort of an unwillingness to uh, to take part in something that might be a bit silly.
yeah,
Like we sort of swept aside some of the more sort of like ceremonial aspects of our culture, and we've understood our culture to be like, oh, fish and chips and Love Island and like it's like you said, it's entertainment. Like when you ask people like what's Britain, they always say fish and fucking chips. And you're like, you know, we've got like ancestral history going back thousands of years. like you know, this country goes back to pre-pagan times, and that's all you can think of is fish and fucking shits. All you can think of is modernist ideas of what Britain is, and you're like, you know, other countries like actually like think about all of the things that have happened before they've got here. Like my girlfriend is Indian, right? And
Right.
she's been talking a lot to me recently about this feeling of tapping into her ancestors and how far they've stretched back
Mhm.
and how much like they've all just been pushing forward for her to get to the point that she's at and the responsibility that goes along with that. And I thought, wow, isn't that amazing? And I thought, well, I would have just as much right to feel exactly the same way. But there's something about Britain and this neutered version of our own culture that we live in that we don't even allow ourselves to think like that.
Well, listen to this. Have you ever been to Sigmund Freud's house in London?
No, I haven't.
I'll go with you, right?
Yeah.
I've been before, and you go to his room. He's got a study and it's full of books. And Sigmund Freud had more books on anthropology than any other subject, and he believed that you were the sum of everybody that came before you, and that your problems are from
Yeah.
the past. And that was his whole thing. Like,
It's so when I talk to, I brought up my cousin so much in this, but I think it's because we're the same age, and I think it's because we grew up on separate. Because he grew up in America, and I think, but when we meet, we're very similar in all these ways, but then we're also very different in all these ways. And one of the biggest ways that we're different is that he fully allows himself to sort of experience the spiritual realm, and he doesn't have any self consciousness about it, and I really admire it. And it's like I try and do that in my own way. And as I said, he grew up in America. A lot of the family is in America, but they're of English extraction, right? So when he's come over here and he talks about connecting to his roots, which I think is to British people would seem so funny because they're like, "Oh, you roots, what, like Scunthorpe or something?" You know, it's just like that's the way you would just dismiss it. And he's like, "No, he's talking about Celtic stuff. Like he's
Right.
talking about like he goes to Wales and is like trying to reconnect with
the spirit,
land
the
itself,
spirituality of
the
it.
spirituality of it." And I think it's so sad that we don't allow ourselves to have that.
Yeah, there's probably have a bit more of it in Ireland. Ireland would have a bit of it, and I think Scotland would probably have a little bit of it. Maybe Wales as well,
Yeah.
probably more.
But it's like you said that we without that mystery. I think it's like, what's the point?
Yeah. Oh yeah. You need a bit of mystery. We need to wrap up now. I've enjoyed this. This is good. This has been a nice chat.
I'm really glad that I could.
So we finished with this one. Let's imagine there is a God and it's a being, and you meet this God, and what would you say to him or her or they?
I almost feel like it would be. It's like, who the fuck am I to say anything to them?
Well, you would just like they're sitting here, you're sitting there. Like, you can say anything. You
I
don't.
think I would just ask them if I did okay.
Okay.
Did I do fine?
They just give you a little pat in the head and
That's-
say,
that's
"You did
honestly
all
what
right,
I
Dave."
thought.
Yeah.
I think for all of this talk of wanting more spirituality and stuff, I do want that, but I don't want it for any particularly lofty reasons. I don't think that humans can work out the purpose for why they're here. I don't think it's possible. I don't think humans can understand the divine. I think they just put their own ideas of what they can sort of muster up in their head on it. We're limited by our own ability, and so that's what I mean by like, who the fuck would I be to say anything? I'm too stupid to even possibly understand. If God's real and I meet him or her, or them or it. That's even that is showing you that like I'm still putting a gender on it, and that makes no sense. That makes no sense. If God's real, why would it? Like, it wouldn't even be a being. It would just be a feeling, a force.
Could be a force, could be an energy. That's what some people think.
Yeah.
And I think I kind of see that.
But I
Some
would
kind of-
quite like it if you get there and it's when I think genuinely every time I try and picture God, it's God from The Simpsons.
Right.
It's like it's a bit weird.
Yeah.
It's a big chair, and then it's just like the legs.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's got a big booming voice.
Almost like the Wizard of Oz
Yeah.
sort of
You've
thing.
never seen the face.
Never seen the thing. Anyway, I think we'll leave it at that. Thanks a million for coming on the show, David Anthony. Where can people check you out? You're obviously on social media and all that.
David Anthony Comedy. Also follow Will Hit Comedy. So we'll shout him out.
Yeah, I'll shout them out, yeah.
I'm about. People can find me. I'm usually at either City Comedy Club or Big Belly.
Is that the two of those? Until next time, you've been watching Does God Exist? And until hey, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that kind of stuff. It massively helps. And thanks a million for watching. Thank you. Goodbye. There we go. Lovely stuff.
Nice.
That was great.
That was really fun.
Yeah, it's fun. It's a fun one.